September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and when it comes to agriculture, the facts are startling. Farmers are 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide than the general population. And the suicide rate among male farmers, ranchers, and ag managers, it's 43%. What's so scary right now is the financial crisis playing out in farm country that we talked about earlier in the show. And that's adding to the stress as farmer suicides now are on the rise.
Unfortunately, in my lifetime, I've been touched by suicide 3 times.
Brent Foreman is a Missouri farmer, and he first experienced suicide when he was just 12 years old.
My grandfather was a wonderful man, the most important male figure in my life. I was thinking there today, 54 years ago, and it leaves a heck of a hole in your heart.
Then, nearly 2 decades later, his younger brother committed suicide, something he didn't see coming.
And then just a little over 2 years ago, my wife's brother, and he was, I believe, 68, 69, took his life. I'm telling you, it's a devastating thing for loved ones to have to go through. It's tough. It's really tough.
Brent says there were signs his brother-in-law was struggling, and they tried to get him help, even taking him in for treatment.
I consulted our preacher, and he said, well, I do want to tell you something. He said, for your perspective, I want you to be prepared if you fail. And I said, can you handle that? And I said, well, what I can't handle is if I don't try. I have to try.
And he did try, but experiencing 3 suicides, all by loved ones Brent was extremely close to, he says the emotions today are still raw.
Going through that so many times, when I was a youngster, I always told myself I would never, the hurt, that's something I would never do to anyone else. I just made like a pact with myself that I would never do that. Because I've seen and lived firsthand how it affects you.
As a family member who still feels pain, he knows that pain will never go away.
I mean, from a family's perspective, the pain goes on and on it doesn't quit.
That pain is something that fueled Brent's daughter-in-law's work. Jolie Foreman is the executive director at Shelby County Cares, a nonprofit whose goal is to improve the quality of life for children, youth, and adults.
We've just grown from the bottom up. We are definitely grassroots. They had faith in us and what our vision was, and they invested in it.
Through a grant, Foreman's initial focus wasn't suicide. But as she started doing research, she discovered there was a desperate need to provide help.
My family had been impacted by suicide, and that's kind of why I had jumped on board in the beginning. But once we sat down at the table and really started to dive into the names up here, that the producer was the one that was struggling.
She says there are an increased number of farmer suicides happening across the country right now. And unfortunately, now in the fall is typically when the number of suicides in agriculture rises even more.
In the spring, there's a lot of hope. You're planning, you're going in, you come off of a year that may have been good, may have been bad, but there's always hope, in the spring. And farmers love getting out there in the dirt and things are turning green. Come September, I think the stark reality starts to set in. I do know from talking to the local ambulance district that, the calls have definitely increased. 988 is a huge resource here, and those calls have gone up and increased exponentially.
She says one of the most telling discoveries that she made is how comfortable many in agriculture are with death.
I think one of the most shocking things was the desensitization to death. And when you really start to peel that back, really seeing that they have had to put down animals that are in pain, or, coyotes or whatever that is attacking. So one, there's the access, but 2, just that cycle of life is different from a farmer, which really took me back.
Jolie, when someone loses hope, what happens?
Sadly, that is the end all for a lot of people. Hope is key. If you have hope, you can keep going. When you lose hope, it's just a very dangerous place to be.
Ethan Daler has been there.
It was actually 2019 was kind of at my low point.
Just 6 years ago, this Missouri farmer hit rock bottom.
I was pretty much just down in the dumps, ready to just give up on life.
Battling ongoing pain from an accident and then the stress of work and family struggles, it all compounded the issue, and it pushed Daylor to a breaking point.
Everything was compounded and of course, family issues that happens to a lot of farmers. There's a lot that compounds into thoughts instead of just, it's just not financial problems.
Daylor is now proof that it's worth finding a reason to live and why he's willing to share his story.
There's more to life. I'm in a tractor now, baling hay, fourth cutting. This is what I kind of dream of, but find something you love doing.
Daylor says his message for someone in a dark place is you're not alone, something the Foremans also want farmers to know.
I want them to know that we care. I want them to know that they feed and fuel the world, but if their bucket is empty, they can't pour into others. And that it's okay to not be okay, to talk about it, to reach out, to ask your neighbor, to not be afraid if you do see something or a change, in behavior or more isolation. Don't be afraid to have that conversation. There are a lot of people that care.
From an agricultural perspective, there's a lot of stress, especially now. And somebody that's contemplating this, I would say, we as farmers, we like to try to fix things, and we're pretty good at it, but you can't fix everything. And you get to a point like that, please reach out to someone, a family member, someone, a good friend, to just please try to get some help.
Well, it does feel a lot like the 1980s. Statistics on suicides among farmers aren't really reliable from the 1980s, as many were deemed accidents, not suicides. But some estimates point to more than 1,000 farmers dying by suicide during that crisis. Jolie says it's not just financial stress that causes these struggles. It's also the fact many farmers are so isolated and many may not have access to adequate health care. And for family and friends, there are signs to watch out, including neglect of the farm or ranch or big financial moves. But it's important to remember, no matter where you are, there is help. 988, that is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And for farmers, there's actually a farmer crisis hotline. You can call that toll free at 866-586-6746. We put both of those numbers on your screen. Well, when we come back, Machinery Pete joins us for this week's Tractor Tales.